You're listening to the RM Podcast, the official podcast of Red Moon Productions. Here are your hosts, Brandon Davidson, Keith Cheatham, and Sean Sebastian. Enjoy.
Another episode of the Red Moon Podcast. I am one of your hosts, finally back from being sick last week, Brandon Davidson, alongside our normal new host,
Sean Sebastian,
and
Keith Cheatham.
That's right, guys, we're back.
We're back live.
We're fully loaded here.
We had
all of us are here.
Audio-only show last week because
right.
Brandon was puking his guts out.
Yeah, that Gatorade, man, it just wouldn't stay down.
Plague and pestilence.
Yeah, we actually had viewers that thought
They reached out to it. They were very
we really filmed you throwing up.
See, yeah,
They were
okay.
concerned that we were exploiting you. And
Disclaimer. It's like, look,
Is that sexploitation? Is that what that would be called?
What?
Sexploitation? No, not sexploitation. Not sex.
Sexploitation.
Yes.
Okay, sexploitation.
He had sex on his mind there. He's like, sick.
No,
we always do.
I was definitely sick. I was ill for about 3 days, stomach bug.
Yep.
I thought it was food poisoning. It wasn't. It was just, I actually found out Friday that my brother-in-law and my niece had it too earlier in the week.
It
so I was
spreads,
like,
man.
it was spreading. But I wasn't really puking Gatorade and that. Yeah, we were exaggerating a little bit, but yes, I was under the weather.
Just a bit.
And I was definitely better well, I was better the next day, and then Saturday came, and I kind of came
Here's
back
what I
again.
told our viewers who
So-
were concerned. In that instance, we were not exploiting Brandon, but don't get us wrong.
No,
we
I'm fully
we
well.
absolutely
No.
we would absolutely exploit him for
Absolutely.
gain if we could. So.
I would exploit myself.
Yeah,
I'm
well,
fine.
No,
you know, take my body for science. I'm fine.
Brandon's always
I'll
happy
be
to whore himself
experimenting.
out.
Yeah.
So.
Anything for views and anything for money. You know,
Oh.
it's honestly, it's for entertainment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
we're here on the Red Moon Podcast, and that's what we're all about. And truthfully, I got to extend a great thanks to you all. This may come. This is a little trivia, little Tinseltown trivia tidbit.
Oh my
You
goodness!
know, a little minute tidbit.
a little trivia titty bit.
Titty bit.
But the thing is all of our faithful viewers and listeners might not know this, but that was the very first episode that I
had no part of.
had no part in, that I was not on.
And I thought it was one of our best episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks a lot. So I
Unfortunately,
am
we
thankful.
just weren't live.
Yeah.
So that's really that's
we
the
just
next step.
we just got to learn a little bit of the technical stuff, and then
technical
we
stuff.
can do that. Yeah.
we don't
Well,
have an IT guy. We're not IT guys.
I'll teach y'all. I'll teach y'all the ropes.
Yeah.
We'll switch through the show. Yeah, we'll help. I'll help
which
y'all out.
ropes?
What?
Are they going to be like just nylon ropes? Or are they going to be like
you're already
triple
failing.
threaded ropes?
So I'll just keep doing my job here. But no, I wanted to extend a very thankful hand to you all for giving us a great riveting show. I'll listen to it. Of course, I have to. I edited it.
like Rosie the Riveter.
Yes. Oh my gosh,
I'm on the dad puns right now.
You are on serious dad puns. It's awful. You didn't even do this last week.
Or the Rick puns.
Yeah, those are the worst. You just ask Neil.
Here's what I hate is that you're doing this now when I'm back. You didn't do this last week when I was gone.
Well, I do it to aggravate you.
Yeah, I
and
know.
You weren't here, so I had no one to aggravate.
Right.
So now you're just making up for it.
We
Is that what you're
may
saying?
have had a pun or two. I don't know.
I don't know.
There were quite a
I'm
few.
sure, but they were probably good puns, not the Rick
These awful
puns.
puns that I'm hearing now.
Rick puns.
Well, guys, thank you all for doing a great show last week. Truly proved that you don't need me, but I'm still back
don't know
anyway,
about
so you
that.
can't completely get rid of
Yeah.
me, okay? But I
Okay.
think we've got a great episode planned. We've got our Oscar noms finally out.
They're here.
Can you all believe it?
We said we'd have them this week.
2020,
and, yeah.
here it is.
Yep. Yep.
And we're going to
man,
be...
I'm pumped about because the
Some good stuff
nominees
on
are
it. Yeah,
stacked
yeah,
this year.
yeah.
So
Yeah, and,
It's not like past years where I've been kind of divisive on a lot of.
Right.
There's legitimate choices on
like
there.
this year, I feel like I was going through, and like I told Brandon, even in the technical categories, it was hard for me to pick who I wanted to win because there were so many that I felt deserved.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
And that was, I think in every single category, I think this is honestly oddly enough, I try to always watch the Best Picture noms and even a lot of them ones that are nominated
Yeah.
in the technical categories. But I think this is the first year where I've seen a majority of what was nominated before they were nominated,
I've seen
which is
every
a great
best
treat.
Yeah, I've seen every Best Picture nom,
But
but I have only watched half of Little Women.
Okay,
so don't ask me how I only saw half of a movie that's technically only in theaters. I saw half of it. I'll watch the other half later today or tonight.
Okay. So then that you will have been caught up completely.
And then I've seen all of them.
I've got
yes.
3, I think, still. 1917, I have not seen yet.
Um,
You all have.
yes,
Yep.
And
yes.
we're about to get
We're
into
gonna get
that.
into it. Yes,
Oh gosh, Little Women.
Little Women and Parasite.
and
I have
Parasite,
not
yeah,
seen
that's-
Parasite.
yeah,
yeah.
it's
And I haven't seen Little Women
yeah.
yet.
Parasite's a foreign film. It's South Korean,
I knew that,
but it
yeah.
is actually really good. Like I don't know. It
It's
kept me on the-
worthy?
It's like a black comedy / thriller type film. So it works. It's just it kept me on the edge of my seat. Definitely.
Oh, burp.
He's
He got a
about to
burp.
puke up some Gatorade.
I was like,
Oh, no, he's sick.
I didn't want to burp into the mic.
Yeah.
It just I don't know.
I'll do that. I'm
Yeah.
not afraid to do that.
But we're going to be getting into all the Oscar talk. Don't worry, that's our primarily most of our show. But before we get into our review of 1917, we've also got our story time segment coming up later on.
Woo!
Got a little bit of story time for all our listeners out there.
Share some stories.
We wanted to talk about our first ever job.
First ever job.
First ever job. So does anybody want to tease what their first ever job was before we get
I'll
into
just
story
say,
time?
I'll say that the one that I told you all, I remembered one before that. So
Oh, okay. So
Oh.
you're
And
going.
It's just it's not as interesting. So I might just go with both of them.
Okay, I think you
Yeah.
can.
I'll give a
I think
good
you
tease. My first job, I got to play with butts.
Ooh.
Boy, okay.
We'll
but
go
did
into
you
more of
get
that,
paid
too.
for it?
Yeah, I got paid.
Oh, okay.
to
Well,
play with
then
butts.
that's fine.
So
Nice.
Sometimes
yeah.
you don't get paid for that.
yeah,
Well,
You get arrested.
it's not as it's not as amazing as it sounds, but I'll give the actual details during story
During
time.
story time.
Yeah,
good.
Alrighty, guys. So should we go ahead and just jump right into our
I
movie
think we
review?
need to get to this
Set it
review
up for us,
because
Keith.
man, I tell you what. There have been a lot of movies this year that's like, okay, that's the best picture nom, and I keep getting surprised by more and more. And this is a war film, which is always a shoe-in for something most of the time.
Mhm.
But the fact that it's based in World War I, which is very rare, and the fact that it is just an amazing movie, like really just gives it credence to why it's being praised. So yeah, let's get into the review of 1917. War movies are almost always a shoo-in for critical buzz and acclaim. We've seen so many, but only a few truly stand out above the rest, with the biggest award winners typically focusing on World War II, a la Saving Private Ryan, or modern conflicts such as in the films The Hurt Locker and American Sniper. While plenty of other historical wars have gotten their fair share of notable film adaptations, such as the Revolutionary and Civil Wars, and even the war in Vietnam, World War I has mostly been ignored by filmmakers, with the greatest films of note surrounding its events being 1930's All Quiet on the Western Front and 1962's Lawrence of Arabia. That means 58 years have passed since we've seen an award-winning film about the war to end all wars. And while a few movies set during World War I have been made since then, none of them were very memorable. This makes Sam Mendes' latest film, 1917, notable in two regards, as it is not only an award-winning and Oscar-nominated war film, deserving of its praise, it is also to World War I what Saving Private Ryan was for the Second World War, if not quite up to the latter's level. Written by Sam Mendes and Christy Wilson Cairns, and directed by Mendes, 1917 tells the incredible story of two Lance Corporals, Tom Blake, portrayed by Dean Charles Chapman, and Will Schofield, played by George McKay, who are tasked with crossing the no man's land between trenches to deliver a message to Britain's 2nd Battalion, ordering them to call off an attack planned against the German army, which had recently retreated. Colonel Mackenzie, in charge of the 2nd Battalion, believes the Germans to be in full retreat, but recent aerial intel had shown the Germans to be preparing an ambush. Now Blake and Schofield have a single night to reach Mackenzie and warn him of the trap he is walking into, or 1,600 men's lives may be lost, including Lance Corporal Blake's brother, who is currently serving in the 2nd Battalion. While on the surface, 1917 seems like another man-on-a-mission style war movie similar to Saving Private Ryan, the similarities are only in the setup. The story as it follows its leads is one of sheer perseverance and valor, as duty and doing what's right become a struggle. 1917, while based around accurate historical events, is not in and of itself a true story, but instead based around true stories told to Sam Mendes by his grandfather, Lance Corporal Alfred Mendes, who served a similar role in the British military during World War I as the main leads in this film. The obstacles and hardships both Tom and Will face throughout the movie, however, are accurate to what soldiers then would have encountered and are not exaggerated for plot's sake. In addition to its historical accuracy, the film is shot as if in a single take, with only one noticeable cut when the main hero loses consciousness. This single take following the lead adds to the realism of the film, making the events happening on screen feel as if they are playing out in real time. The use of this technique alongside the accurate depiction of trench warfare and the hell the characters go through truly creates an immersive film that showcases the horrors of the First World War in a way not shown on film before. The single take, while unique to war films and brilliantly done, is not the only notable thing about this film's cinematography, however. Director of cinematography Roger Deakins, whose most notable works include multiple films with the Coen brothers, pulls out all of the stops with breathtaking visuals and shots. His ability to frame each moment and work around the single-shot aspect to draw viewers in is, in my opinion, the best use of this technique I have seen so far, let alone using it in a war film. Outside of its technical feats, 1917 delivers on every other level as well. With content that hits close to home for director Mendes, 1917's writing is precise and accurate, and above all, human. The relationship and interactions between the lead characters and their ally soldiers, enemies, and civilians all take on different and realistic approaches that lend heart to the story and create relatable and sympathetic characters you hope will survive the war. Of course, good writing only goes so far, as the actors have to put the emotion behind the written words, and boy, do they. Both Dean Charles Chapman and George McKay give off exemplary performances, with McKay being a standout performance in my opinion. McKay drives the heart of the film and is one of, if not the best performance of a soldier fighting his hardest to survive I have witnessed. With a cast of heavy hitters such as Colin Firth, Mark Strong, and Benedict Cumberbatch filling in supporting roles, we have a solid war film that feels as real as you can get to the actual thing. While I cannot say 1917 dethrones previously exalted war films, it has definitely earned its place amongst the best. It is an incredibly well-crafted film with plenty of love and attention to detail. It stands out as the passion project it is from Sam Mendes and deserves every bit of praise it has gotten. Sam Mendes has delivered his best film to date and has truly shown off his directing chops, with a powerful film that will leave many wet-eyed and pensive. I give 1917 4 out of 4 stars.
All right, 4 out of 4, and I couldn't agree
Woo,
more.
man, our coveted prize.
That is one film that you've given 4 stars that I absolutely agree with.
I had chills listening to the music in the background.
Yeah.
I was just like,
Yeah.
it was just making me think of that movie, and I'm like, man, this is such a good movie.
Yes, it is. I would have to say, and I've told Keith this, and I'll tell Brandon now. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was my favorite movie of the year.
Yeah.
It was until I saw 1917.
Okay.
And
wow.
it is
All right.
my pick for the best film of the year.
Dropping bombs right now.
That is
No pun intended. Dropping bombs.
Dropping bombs. Saving Private Ryan was such an amazing World War II film.
Yes.
But not just because of the World War II realism and authenticity, but because of the story.
Yes, absolutely.
And this movie is in many ways, it's very similar, to Saving Private Ryan. But there was the thing I think that made it a better movie to me was with Saving Private Ryan, there's scenes, and in between each scene, you miss out on conversation. This will be a scene, Vin Diesel and this guy are talking while they're walking, and then it cuts to another scene, and they're having a different conversation, and what's left out is everything in between. This movie, because of the cinematography and the style that they shot this,
because it's basically
and
just
brilliant
one
editing, you follow through this 2.5-hour movie the same people having one conversation, and there's no gaps. So I feel like it has a deeper character development and deeper story.
You feel more connected to
Absolutely.
the main character because you are experiencing everything he experiences as he experiences. It's like you're right there along with him.
Right.
And it is really incredible in that way.
Right. Yeah. Without spoilers, it does. It has a bit of a shocking moment that I would say most viewers
more than
probably
one,
gonna
honestly.
Be,
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
But I know the major one you're
there's
thinking of.
There's
Yeah.
one that's kind of right in the middle of the film. That's just it's like
that you're
wow,
not expecting.
I wasn't
at all.
expecting that.
Yeah.
But the film carries on, and it follows the characters so well through calm, almost relaxing, peaceful moments to just hell on Earth. And it's
I was just saying, there's great
it's a roller coaster ride.
Those silent moments. There's great personal moments that build the emotion and your attachment to the character. But then there's also, like you said, the characters where they are. They're going through hell to basically try to save 16. Like they are putting their lives on the line for 1,600 men.
Yes.
Right.
I mean, it is an incredible story.
When you think about how many people died in that war, and in any war for that matter, 1,600 that's not a lot. It's not a lot of people when you really think about the grand scale. But the fact that this task was given to two people, and you may have mentioned it in some of the review, but the authenticity of the story may not be 100%, but still, the idea of two people being tasked with carrying this information.
Well, I was going to say, Keith, you had actually told me a little bit before, or right after you written the review, how because Sam Mendes, his grandfather.
Sam Mendes' grandfather was a Lance Corporal, just like the two main characters, and he had a similar job where he had to run messages. He not only he ran messages across the no man's land, but he also was tasked with going and finding wounded and survivors and bringing them back. So he was out in no man's land getting shot at, dragging survivors back to the trench. So he told these stories about what it was basically like having to cross that no man's land and having to try to deliver messages. And Sam Mendes said that was a thought he could never get out of his head, of that lone messenger trying to get across this dangerous area to go and deliver this message that has to be delivered. And while the exact story of him going to save these 600 men may not be exactly true, everything else surrounding the story, what they would have had to go through, the fact that the Germans did, because they did retreat on that day. I mean, that is a historical fact that they pulled back and the Allies followed because they thought they were in retreat. So, I mean, the crux of what's happening in the movie and the details are all
based
real.
on reality.
The characters and the story may be made up, but everything else is what would have happened and how it would have happened.
And that's no different than Saving Private Ryan.
Yes,
I mean, that's exactly in the same vein.
Yeah.
It's not a real story based in reality, but it's a fabricated, fictional story to come up with something that can show you the pains of war life and what it was like
doubt that
in World War II.
The main premise of Saving Private Ryan is the fact that there's these brothers, and it's like there's one of them left alive.
Yeah,
we need to get them out of here so that their mother can have one son.
Yeah,
and I can realistically see that being something that something that the U.S. Army would have said. Yes, we need to.
Well, and even the way it's juxtaposed and it's set up right after you see the D-Day scene, and then all of a sudden you see just how they come to understand the news, and then even just these 4 generals coming into a room, and they themselves are what build up this message of importance that this one person can be.
Well, I love that.
And
I love that about this movie is that the main characters are the one kid Chapman played Tommen in Game of Thrones. That was pretty much the only thing he's ever done.
Right.
And then the other guy I think is fairly I don't know him from anything.
Names.
Yeah. And they're just young no name actors. And then the higher ups are the big actors like Colin Firth,
the guys with the littlest screen time.
And they have very little screen time. They're just there to give the orders. And I loved it because it made it feel more realistic.
Yeah.
It's like the actors you recognize are playing the higher up prominent roles, and it's like it gives them that sense of okay, they're the ones in charge, and you feel that because you recognize who those actors are, and then the grunts are these people you don't know, and I just felt like it added to the realism of in war and in history you remember the generals' names, you don't remember the grunts who help pull everything off.
And I think Sean, that kind of goes back to what you were talking about, it just being the 1,600 people. It's kind of the same as the film that we saw. Was that last year, Dunkirk? Was Dunkirk last year? Or was it
Dunkirk's another amazing war film.
But again, another film in which it's like you have. Which I haven't seen it, but from what I'm hearing, it's a classic war epic on the scale of something that's memorable, especially for the Great War. One that we hardly ever hear or see.
Because World War II was so much bloodier and so much worse than World War I, people tend to neglect. They kind of forget that, they gloss over it as kind of a precursor to World War II. and they focus on World War II. But I mean, World War I was still horrific. It still had, I mean, it was still a global war with so many nations and so many different people contributing. And I mean, that was another thing that was authentic in this movie is like India, like the Indian, like they helped Britain.
Yes.
In fact, that Britain bargained with them, if you help fight the war, we might give you your freedom, which they didn't do. But that's beside the point, because at the time India was a British territory. But you see there is a scene where he's riding in a caravan and there's a Indian soldier with the British Army, and I love that because it just felt authentic.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I also loved when you were telling me about how there were so many little details and touches that added to the authenticity, but it didn't have to be explained.
Yeah.
It was, if you care to go and do the research yourself, you'll find how authentic the story is set in the time period that it's set in.
Well, I looked at a lot of because I like guns and I like stuff like that, and Saving Private Ryan actually has a couple of minor like mistakes with some of the weaponry and stuff that they used, and I was actually just looking it up because the gun that they carry in this film resembles the M1 Garand, and I really thought that's an American rifle, and I was like, I think they've used a M1 Garand in this movie, and that wasn't invented yet.
Yeah,
but it was actually the short Lee Enfield rifle, which is what the British used, and it looks just like the M1 Garand. So I mean, it really
so
was because it was a bolt action and it wasn't a semi-automatic. They had to actually rack the bolt back. And in this movie they did, and that was the minor difference between that and a gun that America produced for World War II.
Right.
But the littlest details, because I didn't think they had, and this is just me. I didn't think they had flashlights back then. I really didn't.
Right.
And in the movie they pull out like a little battery.
Yeah.
With a little light bulb on it. And they use it at the end of their rifle to go through some of these German corridors and stuff underground.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there thinking, they didn't have flashlights, but they did. Yeah. And it was actually the ones that they used in this movie were made specifically for the war effort. And it's just the attention to detail, the artillery shells being everywhere, the horses being laying in the field
I told
dead
him about
and rotten, and
they actually the Germans actually killed all the livestock so the Allies couldn't use it.
Right.
They booby trapped their trenches when they left,
but
which
again,
actually
all
happened.
of
I mean, it's like a forest of barbed wire that they had to put out on. I mean,
but that's the thing. All of those details are not necessarily given. They're shown, but it's not explained why it is there or why it's happening versus you just picking it up.
Yeah.
And either common sense telling you that by visual, or you going and researching it and realizing, no, that's historically accurate.
The details were incredible. And I mean, given that it's because of like Sam Mendes' grandfather, and he wanted to make something that honored his grandfather, and it's like, I mean, it is incredible because I think he did. I really think he honored his grandfather well, which is what he was going for.
Well, no doubt if it wins Best Picture. I mean, I think that pretty much seals the deal. But here's the question. We know we love the film. Sean, you've already given us your 2 cents. It is your Best Picture winner for 2020. Now, we don't have our official picks coming.
Right, yeah.
Not right now.
Yeah.
But that's your Best Picture pick. Keith, are you saying the same thing about this?
Well, I was going to, when we got into the Oscar talk, discuss.
Should we go ahead and jump into Oscar talk?
I think we can now.
I think we're ready because...
I mean, I could talk about 1917 for the rest of the podcast.
Let me ask you, 4 out of 4 stars, were there any...
I gave Joker 4 out of 4.
Were there any gripes that you had with the movie?
Because
I didn't hear any negatives.
Honestly, no. I mean, there was things that like happened that I was like, oh man, I wish he had done this, but it wasn't a gripe as in like I thought the film was made bad.
That was a mistake.
I felt like it was just, it was realistic, and it's like, it sucks that happened that way, but I could see it happening that way.
Yeah,
so, in certain scenes, but really, no, I can't think of very many things in this film.
That's where I'm at, because there was a couple of things that I thought like I disliked when I was watching it, but I think after thinking about it, I disliked them because it didn't happen the way I wanted it.
Yes.
But it doesn't necessarily mean it couldn't have happened that way.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's kind of where, so that my gripes turn into just, well, I wasn't, given exactly what I wanted. But that was, some of the way the people were shooting.
I think
shooting from the hip with a rifle. I'm like, you pick a rifle up and aim it.
And they weren't that. And I kind of like some of that because those rifles weren't that accurate. So they just kind of in the quickness of the fighting, they picked up and shot because they were trying to. But I mean, And I love that they didn't hit like everything they aimed at, because back then they weren't as accurate.
They were like stormtroopers. But no, I agree completely. The things that like I said, I thought they were going to be gripes, but after thinking about it, I can't find anything
the
negative.
Only, and it's the most minor thing that it's not even like significant, but the only thing I could think of was I felt like, I won't spoil anything, but I felt like the importance of like the milk they found. I thought that was a little too convenient. But other than that, I'm like, but I was like, even that's not bad. It's like, it's a little convenient, but it's still not outside of the realm of possibility. So,
right.
like I said, it's a minor nitpicky thing, but it doesn't take away from the film. So
no, not at all.
So definitely an absolute must see.
Yes,
4 out of 4 stars.
Yeah,
and see it in IMAX. If you're gonna see it.
I would agree. Actually, yes, with the cinematography being as gorgeous as it is,
it's worth that extra.
Yeah.
Well, and we've seen that with movies like Dunkirk and these others that have taken these epics into the realm of that ultra wide cinema.
Right.
I can't say
that's what IMAX does.
I haven't revealed my best picture pick yet, but I will say the cinematography category, I'm all for Roger Deakins winning, because I thought I think his last nomination, he did Blade Runner 2049, and he got nominated for that.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, I think I like this cinematography
and you
more
may
than
have
that.
You may have pointed it out in the review, because while I was listening to it, I was looking
up
this
some stuff. Yeah,
but the fact that this movie was shot with these extremely long takes and edited in a way to make it look like one seamless, maybe two seamless.
Well, I mentioned the fact that
scenes.
I thought this is the best use.
That's fantastic.
This I felt was the best use of a single shot technique of any movie I've seen.
It's like you're there with them.
I think that honestly to me is the selling point, because it's funny that you mention it being a unique difference in a war epic, but I think that is what also brings you into the forefront of what you need in a film like this.
Yeah.
How often are you sitting there that's what I praise, honestly, Saving Private Ryan for in the first, about 20 minutes.
It makes you feel like you're storming the
beaches. It feels like you're in the thick of it. It's not just a little glimpse. It's like the thing, some of my gripes about Lord of the Rings are that I love Helm's Deep and I love the battle for Minas Tirith, but a lot of it's like, and again, that's just a fantasy epic, but it's like you see a snapshot of a battle scene and this huge epic shot, and then they cut away. And I'm like, no, I want to stick with it.
Yeah.
And it's like, because it draws you in and it makes you part of the journey.
Yeah.
And I think especially for something as, like, for it to be shot almost in real time as they're going to try to save these people, it makes it more imminent.
Yeah.
Because it seems like every second that you're with them on this journey matters.
Yeah.
That there's no wasted time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's the brilliance of it.
I agree with that. I said the last film to use the single shot technique was Birdman, and I felt like this utilized it far and above anything that Birdman did with like the whole. I mean, it was way more effective in this movie.
Yeah, I agree.
Fantastic. All right, now we're ready.
Yeah.
Now let's do it. Let's move on to our headline, our topic of the week. Oscar noms 2020 have dropped this past Monday.
I'm excited.
Oh, yeah, aren't we all?
This is, I think, the most excited I've been for the Oscars in a while.
True, because they're hostless again.
Yeah.
Right?
They're hostless, so I don't have to listen to that garbage. And they also are just every category, every nomination is packed with people that I felt just like. There's been so many years where it's like 2 or 3 I felt deserve it, and others I'm like, they were okay. But this year I'm like, almost every category I look at and see the nominees, I'm like, man, it's hard to pick. They all really are good.
Yes.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I think this list is by far the one that I have seen in a long time where I am most deservedly saying, or I'm sitting there saying these are deserved.
Yeah.
These are deserved by all the
Absolutely.
people who are nominated. And absolutely, as I look through there, I mean, there's a few. We'll talk a little bit about some of the snubs, but I think, shouldn't we just go ahead and run through the list of noms, starting out with Best Picture?
Yeah,
Do we
want to end with
take
Best
a category
Picture?
or?
Oh, we can do that. Yeah, let's end with Best Picture. We always do that.
You got to end with Best Picture.
That's true.
What would
You're
you
right.
like to start with?
Well, Sean, what about you?
We could probably leave out like short film, documentary. We can leave those out, can't we?
Yeah, nobody cares about those.
Yeah. Actually,
We
the
always
only,
do that.
The only thing I would have been interested in documentary would have been They Shall Not Grow Old, but it was snubbed.
Yes.
So
Was it really? I didn't catch that.
it didn't get a nomination.
Oh,
no.
man.
And
That
I mean, I
was-
thought that was. I mean, I gave that 4 out of 4 stars. So
So do you want to start with like technical stuff, or do you want to start
Yeah,
with?
let's start that. Let's start with the
Well,
technical
If we go to the
things.
very bottom, it's writing. So original screenplay. Should we
I
start
like
there?
that. Go
Can-
ahead,
Can
Keith.
I take that? Because
Because you
writing.
are our
Yeah.
resident writer.
Okay. Nominated for Best Original Screenplay: Knives Out, Marriage Story. Do you want me to read the people that are just the movies?
Nah,
Just the
Okay.
movies.
Knives Out, Marriage Story, 1917, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Parasite.
I couldn't agree any more with all those right now. I'm not giving my picks. I can't do it. I can't do it yet. I don't want to give out my picks.
Really?
I'm about to, but I don't want to.
Well, we're gonna have a podcast for our official picks. Cause
here's who I think it's down between though, and you're all gonna.
Go for it.
I think it's down between 3 movies.
Yeah.
Really, I'm gonna say 2. Marriage Story and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah.
I know you all are going to disagree because I know you're going to throw Knives Out in
Yeah, I kind of feel like Knives Out's gonna get some love, but I don't know. I think Once Upon a Time in Hollywood definitely.
Yep.
I mean, all of them. I look at all of them like they're
I'm not
all
gonna
amazing.
be mad if the one I want doesn't win. Like it's not like this isn't a Moonlight situation.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Like, I'm gonna be angry.
That's
over
a great
These
way to
are
put it.
all very well.
It's like there's been years in the past where I feel like a winner, like I was like they didn't deserve to win, but this year it's like almost any of them could win, and I'd be like, well, yeah, they deserve. But
I agree completely.
I might have to stick with Once Upon a Time in this category. I don't know. I mean, it's hard. It's hard.
Okay, that's who you think's gonna win.
Well, I mean, that's kind of who I want. I don't know we'll get who I think's going to win in our official, I guess. But
True.
Right now, I'm just saying who I want to win.
Okay,
yeah.
so we are doing our picks for who we want to win right now.
I guess so.
If you feel like throwing it out there, we don't have to, but I guess if you feel like throwing it out there, go for it.
We'll have an episode where we at least have our official picks. Maybe they'll be on our website.
Yeah. Okay. So adapted screenplay. Who wants that one?
I'm just saying.
I'll take adapted screenplay.
Go ahead, Sean.
The Irishman, Jojo Rabbit, Joker, Little Women, and The Two Popes.
Damn, again.
No, another hard one.
Yeah.
I'm honestly, I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna say, I think the winner. I'm picking who I think the winner's gonna be. Versus my pick. I think honestly the winner here is probably gonna be a shocker, and I think it's going to be Jojo Rabbit.
That's what I want to win.
Okay, that's what I want to win.
I think it's going to be a shocker, and that's what I think.
But we'll see. We'll see.
So I don't know. What about you all? You want to pick?
I picked Jojo Rabbit.
I just picked Jojo
Yeah,
Rabbit.
You all are picking your picks.
That's who I want.
Who I want.
Yeah, I'm picking who I think will win.
Oh, okay.
I'm not picking who I want yet.
Dang.
I'm doing a little different.
All right.
Okay, here I'll read visual effects.
Okay. Go for it.
So visual effects is Avengers Endgame. It's won Academy Award nom, even though it won the biggest prize of all.
Okay,
highest grossing film of all
there is
time.
one film in this category that I'm kind of like, I don't know.
The Irishman, The Lion King.
Yeah.
that live action Lion King, 1917, and Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker.
To be fair, I laugh at The Lion King, but the visual effects were the only good part of that movie. So.
Well, of course. And it's basically all you can say that's the only reason the movie exists.
Star Wars looked good, but I didn't feel like it was anything to sneeze. I mean, you've seen Star Wars, you've seen it. I'm like, eh.
It's not any better than any of the other Star Wars.
Yeah.
Films.
Well, it's better than the prequels.
Who are you thinking is going to win?
True.
Who are y'all picking to win that? Who do you want to win for you all?
I would like to see Endgame get it just for the sheer magnitude.
I mean,
of
that
the
final
visual.
battle, I'm like, if Endgame doesn't get, The Irishman was impressive with the de-aging, but
No,
that final
here's
battle
the
in
thing.
Endgame.
The Irishman is fantastic in terms of its historical relevance that it's going to have beyond that movie.
Yes.
It definitely, I think, is revolutionizing how we do de-aging and facial capture in movies. But I don't think it was quite good enough to snatch the Oscar.
Yeah.
I believe of Endgame is going to get it.
Okay.
And I really do think that's going to be kind of that hats off to here's this huge series of films that have been
That's
around.
the one category that it can win in.
That it can actually win. It's the only one it's nominated in. So, all right, next one, guys. Who wants to take it?
Okay, sound mixing?
Sound mixing.
Sound mixing.
Ad Astra, Ford v Ferrari, Joker, 1917, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. You notice 1917 and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood are already.
They're racking them up.
Yes,
They're racking them up.
And Joker.
We've done this before, but go ahead, Brandon. Go ahead and point out for the viewers the difference between mixing and editing.
We do this every
year.
It
always gets mixed up.
So for one, mixing is primarily creation of the sounds.
Right.
Editing is putting everything together and blending it.
Right.
So that's the main difference. So mixing is creating, editing is blending and creating a proper soundtrack so it all melds together.
Yep.
But I am actually going to pick for mixing Ford v Ferrari.
Okay.
I just think it's got those classic car sounds, and I think
all of them I think are good picks for that category. I'm kind of partial to Ad Astra because just things that they have to create that aren't typically known sounds always impress me. and that's kind of why I'm edging that one. But I mean, both Ford v Ferrari and 1917, I felt like had incredible because I mean,
see,
you have
and
the
this
war
is where
aspect.
I fall short because I don't know. I mean, war movies are fantastic for sound as well, and I just don't know with 1917
because you haven't seen it.
Because I haven't seen it. So.
Getting those sounds right is really is extremely hard, and that's something that obviously Spielberg could probably attest to.
Yeah,
but I'm kind of between 1917 and Ad Astra just because with Ad Astra you have these scenes in space, especially on the moon, where there's no sound.
Yes.
And there's just thuds and hums and vibration kind of sound, and not like the actual, because there's nothing for sound to bounce off of.
Yeah.
So it's just amazing that a lot of space movies get that really wrong.
They do, yeah.
You know, and that movie definitely got it right, kind of like Gravity.
Yeah.
To get that right too. But man, between that and 1917, it's going to be one of the two.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now, sound editing is going to be Ford v Ferrari, Joker, 1917, Once Upon a Time, or Star Wars: Rise of Skywalker.
Okay.
And I think I'm going to pick what I think is going to win. Again, I think they're going to hand it to Ford v Ferrari.
Really?
I could pick for sound editing. I would, because I mean that's the blending of the sounds. And I definitely think I see Ford v Ferrari for that one. I do that, or again 1917. It was impressive. Star Wars again is Star Wars.
Yeah.
And I mean Once Upon a Time in Hollywood wasn't bad, but I don't find it as impressive.
Right. And I'll give a nod to Star Wars. I think this being the final Star Wars, I must say, I think for as fast-paced as it was and as jarring in some cases, especially early on, you see it's another one you see in IMAX. It's worth it.
Oh yeah,
picture
definitely,
and sound.
definitely.
All right, next one, guys.
We can skip short films. So production design.
I'll take.
Go for it.
Let's see, short animated. Where are we at? Production design. We have The Irishman, Jojo Rabbit, 1917, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Parasite.
This one was another tough one for me because I felt like all of them like had great sets and production. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, just that 70s setting is so they nailed that so well.
Well, and I think for one, Tarantino's a stickler for when it comes to this stuff, and he's one of those that's like he wants to make sure you are in that world.
Yeah.
And he was such a stickler for trying to get it exactly like
detail.
Hollywood.
He's always got the
back
attention to
I
details.
think I told you all.
And,
like I went to see that movie with my dad, and we're sitting there watching the movie, and of course, like there's Brad Pitt drives a Carmen Ghia, which my dad has one sitting in the garage, and that was my first car. But just the way the car drives is very familiar. It's authentic. I've never really heard one sound like that. I think
but he is a stunt man.
He is a stunt man,
he souped
he's
it up.
probably done some things to it. But we're sitting there watching the movie, and there's the scene where Sharon Tate is walking down the street, and she's wearing these like white kind of almost knee-high boots.
Yes.
And I remember my dad like just kind of bumping my elbow and going, one of my girlfriends, Yvonne, used to wear boots just like that. And I'm just like, and I know that's kind of silly, but sitting there in the theater, I'm just thinking he really did capture, because my dad grew up in that time. And I'm like, they did capture the authenticity of that time.
Yeah.
Even the billboards, some of the billboards are made up, but my dad was noticing like that was a real advertisement back then. And so to be able to put up real billboards and real like painted signs on the side of buildings that really existed from that time period, that just takes love for getting it right. And he always does that. So I'm going with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
I agree. As an Irishman, looked fine, but it looked like all of Scorsese's other mob films, to be honest.
Well, and the only reason I'm going with The Irishman is because I think the many decades that it transpires over the course of the movie.
I give you that.
I just think that he nails not only the production of the mobster, production design, but he also
each decade.
It chooses the decade, and I think that pays careful attention to that.
And then
well.
the others, Jojo Rabbit in 1917, they looked like the eras they were in, but by now, if you can't make a war movie look like when it took place, then you shouldn't be making a war movie.
True. All right, I'm going to get a lot of flack for skipping original song, but we're skipping that one.
Oh, wow. Okay.
We're going to, I guess, the next one, which is music original score. That is Joker, Little Women, Marriage Story, 1917, and Star Wars: Rise of Skywalker.
Well, I haven't...
Star Wars. What's different?
I feel like
Williams'
they just
last
it's
film.
his last one. I guess they want to give it a. I don't know. I would actually. I'm going to go with 1917 for right now. I don't know, because, I mean, both Joker and Marriage Story, I haven't seen all of Little Women, but the score so far is okay. But both Joker and Marriage Story had good scores.
I'm picking, right now, I'm picking Joker.
Okay.
I think Joker's going to win it in the original.
I'm going to stick with
score.
1917 for that one.
I think I'll agree with you on 1917.
Okay, all right. Who wants to take the next one? Keith?
Makeup and hairstyling. Bombshell. Joker. Judy, Maleficent, Mistress of Evil. I have to laugh at that one. I'm sorry. And 1917. I would say 4 of those 5 deserve it.
Yeah. I mean, Maleficent, that's what Angelina Jolie really looks like. I don't understand.
Well, her cheekbone's a little bit more pointed, but I don't think it's anything that's...
No, I think they just put white face paint on her, and then that's her.
Yeah.
I mean,
that literally is her look.
Judy is going to get it.
Really?
That's not one I want, but I will go ahead and call. I think they'll get that
I actually think Joker's getting this one.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
I would kind of, out of those, I would pick Joker as one I want, but I don't know. Yeah, between Judy or that one, I didn't feel like Bombshell. Like, some of them look good and some of them, like Nicole Kidman, I thought looked terrible. Yeah. So,
but I think this Judy it's going to get something, and I think this might be.
Oh, it's going to get actress, but no.
I don't know. I'm kind of leaning towards that too, but I think this is definitely a category where I think they could, throw it some love and not disrupt anything else. But
true, but I just don't think they will.
You don't think they will?
I don't think they'll even throw it for that.
All right, let's skip international film.
Yeah, we're going to film editing. Ford v Ferrari, The Irishman, Jojo Rabbit, Joker, and Parasite. I am right now picking Joker. No, I actually think Ford v Ferrari may get this one.
Oh wow.
Or honestly, and this is only a long shot because, but again, I don't know. It's not really a long shot. The Irishman. There's honestly 3 films in this category I think could get it, and it's Ford v Ferrari, The Irishman, and
Joker. Yeah, I actually agree with that. I mean, I like Jojo Rabbit, but I don't think it's. And I mean, I like Parasite, but I feel I'm kind of leaning towards Joker on this one, honestly. That or Irishman. Ford v Ferrari was fine, but I didn't think it was that special. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm actually I'm definitively saying I'm not picking it, but I think it will win Joker. Okay. Next category. Who wants to take it?
Are we doing
directing?
No,
we're not doing documentary. No one watches those.
Feature.
So we got directing.
Directing,
now.
yeah,
directing. Go ahead, Sean.
Okay, The Irishman, Joker, 1917, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Parasite. And if it's gonna be Tarantino, I'm telling you.
I think it was. I think it is.
He got the.
I don't know because I can see Todd Phillips.
I could see this being another one of those.
This is a tight one. This is a very tight one in my opinion.
I won't be upset if Joker does get it.
Yeah,
I'm calling Once Upon a Time.
I mean, I would love Sam Mendes to get, but I mean, I don't know Tarantino. Yeah, it's a hard one for me really because I think all of those are impressive.
I just think with Todd Phillips kind of being an unsung hero right now of what he pushed with that movie, and being that it's the controversial matter when it first came out, but him standing strong, and then also it being kind of the first time he's got the spotlight.
Yeah, it'll probably be Tarantino.
Very well put.
All right, go on.
Okay. Let's costume design.
Yeah, costume design. Move on to that.
The Irishman, Jojo Rabbit, Joker, Little Women, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah. Now this one is where I'm gonna pick Once Upon a Time.
Okay,
this is where
I was actually, and I've only, like I said, I've only seen half of Little Women, but it was between Once Upon a Time and Little Women was one of those where that movie's been made so many times, and this is the first time I felt like their outfits were actually like period accurate, like they looked like they were made back then. Whereas, I know the '90s movie, it's like. It was styled like the movies back then, but it looked like it was made from materials. I was like, that doesn't look right. I don't know.
Yeah,
okay. I haven't seen that one yet, but
which one?
I'll say Once Upon a Time in Hollywood too.
Yeah.
Okay,
they had to capture so many different styles.
True.
Not just on the actors, but
even in the Manson family.
The Manson family and on set when they're making the films.
That's true.
I mean, his cowboy outfit looks completely different when he's making the Italian. Cowboy movies.
I would say that was an aspect I didn't take into account, but I agree.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, let's move on to cinematography. The Irishman, Joker, Lighthouse, 1917, and Once Upon a Time. Again, all movies that you all have seen. I've seen a majority except for 1917 and The Lighthouse. Yeah. But I know y'all praised The Lighthouse when it came out.
This was a hard between Roger Deakins and Jaron Blash. Yeah. But I mean,
right now.
The Lighthouse and 1917 were 2 very hard picks for me because I love The Lighthouse is so eerie, but I felt like the best part of The Lighthouse was its cinematography,
Yeah.
and then the rest of it, like, if it didn't have that cinematography, the rest of that movie wouldn't have worked.
No.
Whereas 1917, like, works with everything, including the cinematography. So I kind of give that the edge because I
See,
felt like
and that's the weird thing is I haven't seen it yet, but
Yeah.
I have a feeling I'm going to change my opinion and pick 1917 when I see it.
yeah.
But I'm going with Joker. I'm picking Joker. I watched it again the other night, and I'm sorry that it's absolutely
No, it is.
It's phenomenal.
I mean, it's not a
and-
bad pick at all.
And honestly, the cinematography in it is gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. And
I like
think
the I like the color. I like the color
Yes.
palette or
Yes.
the tone
Yes.
tonality
Yes.
of it. It's got that.
it's just very eerie.
Yeah, it's eerie,
And
like The
not-
Matrix.
Yeah,
like how
it's
they
got
made
a
everything in
tone-
The Matrix was
yeah,
greenish.
it was green.
Yeah,
And
I
it's got a
just-
very.
But even like one thing I like about the film is like set in the kind of a modern time, but it also like looks and feels like something from an older era. So
Right.
it's
No,
kind
it
of like
is.
this.
Yeah, it's like
this
Gotham.
blend.
It's almost
80s
like
or
it's
something.
Gotham in the 70s.
Yeah.
like late
80s,
70s.
But
yeah.
but they have modern technology, and it's one of those things that's like it's a weird blend, and it works. I liked it. Like it was a weird blend of modern and 70s. So
Yep.
yeah.
Now here's one I think you're going to end up picking. I know which one you're going to pick. For
Well, I
this
know which one I'm
category.
going to pick, but again,
So yeah, read this animated feature there, Keith.
okay. How to Train Your Dragon, the third one.
Mhm.
I Lost My Body.
Okay.
Klaus.
Klaus.
Ah,
I was wondering if you were going to say it that way.
Claw. It's actually Claus. Actually, it is a
Claus.
fantastic animated film. But Claus, Missing Link, and Toy Story 4. I haven't seen I Lost My Body, and Toy Story 4 doesn't deserve to be there.
No, it doesn't.
But the other three, Missing Link, Claus, and How to Train Your Dragon, are all amazing. I wouldn't be sad if any of them three won, but there's only one I think I absolutely want to see, and of course that's How to Train Your Dragon.
The
Yeah.
Hidden World.
Yes.
Yes.
God. Every year those movies have been nominated, there's always been one movie that's just right above them that
Pixar.
yeah. And this
Toy
year
Story
it's
4
like,
is going to win it.
yeah, probably, and I'm going to
Better
pick
not.
6.
I actually think Missing Link is going to walk away with it.
Really?
I think Missing Link's going to walk away with it.
Leica's been
and
getting a lot
all
of
of
buzz.
How to Train Your
Okay.
Dragon is going to get snubbed.
And it's going to make me sad.
All three of them will be.
And I like Missing Link, but I don't think it's as good as How to Train Your
I just
Dragon.
don't.
Honestly, I thought out of all of Leica's movies so far, Box Trolls has been my favorite. But
Oh yeah, okay,
yeah.
I remember that.
yeah,
one.
Leica's been doing some
Yeah.
impressive work. But
All right, here we're getting into the heavy hitters now. Actress in supporting role: Kathy Bates for Richard Jewell, Laura Dern for Marriage Story, Scarlett Johansson for Jojo Rabbit, Florence Pugh for Little Women, and Margot Robbie for Bombshell.
Margot Robbie, no.
I am picking Laura Dern for Marriage Story.
Oh,
Okay.
That's who I think is going to win.
This one's a little tough for me, because I mean, I do. She's good. Well, that's who you think's going to win. I agree with probably who's going to win. I kind of want to see Kathy Bates get it though.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I want Scarlett Joe for Jojo Rabbit to get it.
Okay.
I would, but I kind of.
I actually think, my pick for, we'll get to that.
Yeah, we have to get there.
We'll get there.
There's a reason I didn't pick
Yeah.
Scarlett for Jojo Rabbit.
Yeah. So go ahead, Keith. What's an actor in a supporting role?
Actor in a supporting role, Tom Hanks, which a lot of people have had things to say about, for A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. Anthony Hopkins, The Two Popes. Al Pacino, The Irishman. Joe Pesci, The Irishman. Brad Pitt, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Brad Pitt.
I think Joe Pesci. I think Joe Pesci's going to get it.
I think that's who
And
they'll go. I want to. I don't know.
He came out of retirement, but I'm telling you, it's a stellar performance in The Irishman.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think Joe Pesci's
Agree.
going to get it.
I think he's going. I
good.
kind of want Brad Pitt, but at the same time, I did love Joe Pesci. Either of those, like really any of those five, I think are great actors. So, but yeah,
Joe
then-
Pesci to me is like he's the guy that you would say like I would like for him to win it just because he came out of that retirement and did
For
a
the role,
movie
right.
and did
But
so
no, I
well,
really
and it's
think
like
his-
he should get it. It's just like when Leo won it with
Or no, it's
you're-
like the
you're just
old
like,
lady
come
for
on, it's about
Titanic.
time he
It's
should
like
get it.
Yeah.
you know the old lady's never going to be nominated. Again.
Yes, yes.
It's like, so come on. But I really
but
do
Brad
think
Pitt's performance
I
was
know.
so amazing.
I
I
know.
know, but I just don't think. I think
So
Leo's was
incredible.
better.
Yeah.
Oh, I disagree. I think Brad Pitt was better than Leo. But
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know. The
don't
scene
know.
in the trailer.
I'm gonna
bar
piss a lot of
none.
people off when I
but-
say this, but I liked A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, but I didn't think
No, I
Tom
agree.
Hanks was Mr. Rogers.
I agree with
like,
that.
I don't think he captured that
He-
like I thought he was
essence,
going
yeah.
to. I do not.
So you're actually saying,
I watched Mr. Rogers growing up,
and that's
a
a disappointment.
yeah, it
then.
was a
You did
disappointment.
not think
Tom
that
Hanks
now-
was too much of Tom Hanks.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So-
Now the other guy though, what's his name? Matthew or something Matthews, the guy that plays the reporter.
Yeah,
he
he
had
was
me.
incredible.
Oh
He was
yeah, he had me
fantastic.
balling.
Yeah.
Really?
But I was not taken back to my childhood by watching Tom Hanks.
Okay, all right.
So-
well, we got our first disappointment here.
Yeah, I don't like him on
Well,
there.
Sean, what
but-
about if go ahead and read off the actress in a leading
Ew.
role?
Yeah, you would give me the one with the lady's name I can't. Cynthia
Erivo. I think.
Erivo.
Yeah.
That'll work.
for Harriet. That was a terrible movie, by the way.
Oh, you
I've
watched it? I
Yeah,
didn't
it's
watch
terrible.
it. It didn't get great reviews.
Scarlett Johansson for Marriage Story.
Saoirse.
Saoirse
Ronan
Ronan.
for Little Women. Charlize Theron for Bombshell, and Renee Zellweger for Judy, of course.
I'm picking Scarlett for this one.
I am too.
That's why I didn't pick her for Jojo Rabbit.
I actually
she
Marriage,
can't win both.
Marriage
can't win
Story
both.
is
Yeah.
truthfully a fantastic.
Well, she could, but
film.
she's not going to.
Technically, she
But-
could.
Yeah, she could, but I don't
She
think
could,
she's going
but
to.
she won't.
Yeah.
Right.
But I do think she'll win Best Actress.
Saoirse Ronan was
So-
actually so far been really good, but I'm still Scarlett Johansson.
Okay, an
Okay.
actor in a leading role: Antonio Banderas, Painting Glory; Leonardo DiCaprio, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood; Adam Driver for Marriage Story; Joaquin Phoenix for Joker; and Jonathan Pryce, The Two Popes. All of these I have seen except Antonio
Antonio
Banderas.
Yeah, I never even heard of that.
And this is where our snubs
it's
come
a
into
foreign
play.
it's a foreign film. Well, there's
Yeah.
a few snubs before that, but
Yeah, but
I think
this is the biggest one. One of the bigger ones.
Well, no, because you're forgetting about the female snubs. I mean, that's
True.
the biggest
Hashtag so male.
one. Definitely not J Lo. She was not a snub.
No, she was not. But I'm actually picking.
Like, I don't know why anybody would think she should be on there. Like,
They called it a snub. I
That's
don't know
crazy.
why.
I could agree with Aquafina. Like maybe like she should have been there instead of Cynthia Erivo, but not J Lo. No,
she got her Golden Globe.
Yep.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Okay, so who do you think?
Joaquin Phoenix, Joker.
Okay.
That's who I'm. Yeah, that's who I'm. I really liked Leo's performance. I really liked Adam Driver. I mean, but yeah, I think it's gonna be Joaquin.
I think it's going to be him, but I want Leo.
You want Leo.
Yeah.
And I will say, of all, I do think Leo's performance is better in this than it
I think
is
he's
for,
more deserving in this than he was
for his
Revenant.
Revenant.
Yeah, for the
yeah,
Revenant.
yeah.
Exactly. And now we are here for the big daddy of them all, Best Picture, Ford v Ferrari, The Irishman, Jojo Rabbit, Joker, Little Women, Marriage Story, 1917, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Parasite. I am picking 1917. I think is going to take
You
it.
think it's going to take
Yep.
it?
Yeah, based on your all's review and based on your all's reception of it, it's
I
winning
know. I
the
know
Golden
you
Globe.
want Joker to win.
I want Joker to win,
but you haven't seen 1917.
but
yet.
I haven't.
Yeah.
And so, but I am picking right now. I think 1917 will.
Well,
walk
of
away.
all these movies, 1917 and Joker were the only two I think I gave. I don't believe I gave Once Upon a Time. I have to go back and look, but I think those are the only two I gave 4 stars.
Yep.
So
Wow,
yeah.
awesome.
I didn't say it during the review discussion, but 1917 is my pick. So.
There it is.
Yep.
I really do love that movie. So we'll see what happens. But honestly, the only one of those movies I would be disappointed in seeing win would be Ford v Ferrari. I don't really understand
and-
how it
and
got
that
into
was-
Best
You know
Picture.
how I
Yes.
feel about that.
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
I told you.
I don't really
You didn't like
understand how Ford v Ferrari
Yeah.
got a Best Picture nom. Like, I mean, it's a good movie.
Well, we know
but-
how they tally the votes.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
we know
do.
that it comes down to it. Literally, is you pick your one from 1
just-
to 10,
But that
and then
means
if
a
you
lot
get,
of people were so stupid to vote.
No, they picked Ford v Ferrari could have come in at number 10.
Yeah.
But if it was voted at number 10 on everybody's list, then it gets put in there.
Yeah, I know.
Because it got enough votes.
Yeah.
Well, that's a lot of people that should have voted something else at number 10.
No, or they might have just said, well, I can't think of one Ford v Ferrari will fit.
A lot of people that don't listen to our podcast.
I could think
apparently.
of several. Peanut Butter Falcon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I said several. Now I'm drawing. Like, well, even the Farewell was better than Ford v Ferrari. So
What was the other? There was another small film that came out that was you all touted heavily.
Jojo Rabbit?
Jojo
but
Rabbit's
it got,
on there.
but
That
it got,
was
it got.
yeah, it got
I, was,
nominated.
I will say, if I had to pick an independent film and I could only pick one, Jojo Rabbit would have been it, and it
Yeah.
got it. So I will say, I am happy that at least Jojo Rabbit's in there.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Well, then I guess before we move on, we've went through that. Moving on to our storytime segment, real quick. Snubs. Obviously, one of the bigger ones being Adam Sandler for Uncut Gems.
Yep.
Eddie
not
Murphy.
getting a nom. Eddie Murphy for
I
Dolomite is
can't
my
say
name.
until I see Antonio Banderas' performance that
Whether or not
he,
that was really a
that he
snub.
was, because I kind of put Eddie Murphy and Adam Sandler's performances on par with each other.
Yeah.
So if he was that much better, then maybe, but I don't know because I haven't seen him.
But I would say right now with the picks, I didn't think there were that many snubs.
The only other biggest
if
one
I
was
had
director.
to pick between the two,
Mhm.
I would pick actually Eddie Murphy over
Adam Sandler, and
Adam
I would pick
Sandler.
Adam Sandler
So,
Yeah,
personally.
I think Uncut Gems.
The only
should have
other
been
one
nominated
that
for
people
some stuff.
keep touting is the director noms. They felt like because the director of The Farewell was female, and of course Greta Gerwig for Little Women.
Right.
My only thing with that is, yes, I agree, both of them did exceptional, phenomenal jobs, but the directors who were nominated also did amazing. Like it's like you can't nominate everybody, and I do think the 5 that were picked were
decent.
Yeah.
They
were phenomenal.
well deserved.
So
They don't just deserve it because they're women. They have to make the better movie.
Right.
And, that's
and I don't think they're being discriminated against because they're women. I
Right.
just
No,
think that these people.
But that's what Twitter says.
Well, of course. And that's what social media is wrong for.
Yeah.
It's like, so yeah, I agree. I think we've got a great list. I think when you look at the snubs, this year is definitely not the year for calling out, two huge disappointments. There's not. Yeah. It's not worth it. There's not
literally
that many.
the only way I could be disappointed is if Ford v Ferrari wins Best Picture, and it's not going to. So
Yeah. There's no doubt that that's gonna happen. No doubt.
So
yeah. So I think we're ready to move on to our story time.
I agree.
Let's jump into it.
It's story time, where the podcast members tell their stories.
Story time.
Sure, we still.
Oh,
the
sorry, I cut back.
fabulous.
My bad.
Oh man. Oh, we're doing story time again.
No, it's
let's not
done.
do it again.
I accidentally hit the wrong button, so it jumped back up there for me.
Okay.
But story time. All right, guys, real quick.
Fabulous Aaron Boyd, who is watching right now, by the way.
She is.
Yeah.
Hey, Aaron.
She
we
says,
hope you.
I'm not doing
That's from that Best Picture winner,
Scary Movie.
Yeah. No, but we've got our story time segment. We kind of teased it a little bit at the beginning of the show.
Yep.
And that is your first job. Tell us about your first job. Let's talk about it, guys.
First job.
Who wants to
First
begin?
job.
Let me start.
You all
me-
teased your all.
Okay, well, I explained that my first job I got to play with butts. Well, they were Boston butts, as in pork shoulders, but they call them Boston butts. I worked for a small barbecue chain that is pretty much non-existent now, but
It
at
was
the
good,
time
too.
it had 7 or 8 stores across like Louisville and Indiana.
Yeah.
But I mean, Firefresh Barbecue was my first job, and even today, I still love to smoke and cook barbecue and meats, and it's still one of my favorite foods, obviously. But yeah, I did like that job, but man, there was some crazy. I mean, it is crazy to think about. Like, that's my first experience with the job, and then the restaurant business is already crazy as is because I mean that's where people who. Not to make fun of anybody, but people who can't get a job anywhere else can always find a job in the restaurant business. So the type of people you meet, and you find yourself thrown in there like with, I mean, just the language and the way people present it is like unlike anything else because, you know, when behind the counter, what you don't see are all these just rough characters that are nice people, but I mean, you know, you just see like the arguments and but I mean, then people pull together to do their job, and it was a lot of fun.
What's the Dane Cook movie about the people that
gosh.
working at the Applebee's or whatever it was?
I don't
It was like
remember that
Applebee's,
movie.
but it wasn't.
Dane, I remember there was Waiting, but that wasn't Dane Cook.
Are you sure it wasn't Dane Cook?
No,
That
no,
where they,
Waiting
like,
was
spitting
Ryan Reynolds.
people's-
Yeah, that
spitting
was
people's food and all
Waiting.
that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe that's
Dane
what I'm
Cook, I
thinking.
think, did the one about the
thought
was
he
it the
did.
supermarket?
All I
or
know is he
whatever?
did Good Luck Chuck. That's
No.
all in the movie I know.
Yeah,
I
he did
remember
one
it.
about a Sam's Club
Okay,
kind of thing.
If you've ever seen the movie Waiting, not to
Waiting
Was
is
that
nasty.
Horrible Bosses?
no,
That wasn't.
No.
No,
No,
I'm
that
talking about
one- no.
Waiting. I'm talking about the one, yeah, because it had, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Ryan Reynolds, Anna
yeah.
Faris, Justin Long.
Anna
Yeah.
Faris,
Wait,
yeah.
Okay.
I'll say
Is that how it is?
almost. Like I said, you shouldn't be that worried about people
Struggling.
messing with your food. Like that doesn't happen as often as the
As
movie
you
makes
think
it
it
think.
would,
does
yeah.
happen.
I mean, unless like I have seen it happen, but only,
Did you try to stop
but
it?
only to the nastiest people. So don't be nasty to the people making your food because they will get back at you.
I'm never nasty to my
Wow.
server till after I get my food.
That's
Yeah.
right.
and then I lay it on.
But I mean, no. But it is the way people behave, like the way they would mess with each other or act, is like yes, that's fairly. That was one of the most accurate movies to I mean, like even like the dishwashers who were constantly behind the building getting stoned. It's like stuff like that. Yeah, that definitely happens. I'm being honest. That stuff happens.
Everybody knows it, and that's why those movies are made about it, because you know it's real.
Because you know what's going on.
It actually happens. Wow. So your first job at a restaurant, Fire Fresh Barbecue.
No, I did not get stoned behind the restaurant.
Well, you probably wish you would have.
Like Jay and Silent Bob out
What
there.
about you, Mr. Sean Sebastian?
Well, it's kind of funny because like I remember my first job like that lasted a while.
Yeah.
Was I worked at the church daycare, and I did that for like 3 or 4 years after, and I would show up until I was 18. I would show up after school. And so from 3 to 6, I did like after school activities for kids who were waiting
activities.
for the buses to.
So many activities.
So many activities. Like, I mean, we played baseball. We played softball. The church had a ball field out back, so when it was warm, we could go out and do that. But it was mostly just entertaining a bunch of
kids,
you know, like 1st through 5th graders.
Yeah.
While they're waiting for their moms or the bus to pick them up and take them
for
home.
their what?
Their moms.
Oh, I
to
thought
pick
you
them
said
up.
their bombs.
Well, they're probably
or their
some
moms.
of them probably had bombs.
I was like,
but
okay.
Actually, though, before that, I worked a summer for my dad's business, the MTD Auto Glass.
Oh.
And I forgot all about it because I only did it for a couple of months. And I think I was 15 years old.
Yeah.
And I worked at the at the counter answering phone calls and setting people's claims up for windshield replacements and stuff like that. It was so short that I didn't even like really remember it. But I actually enjoed working at the daycare. I didn't have to change diapers or nothing like that. I was only with after-school kids.
I hope not at 1st and 5th grade.
It was kind of funny though because like
change my diaper.
part of me, you know, because for 6 years I worked as a student minister at a church, and I really do believe that part of the like wanting to work with younger people came from working at the daycare. I related well to the kids. They enjoyed my company. I earned their respect and trust and things like that, and I was able to carry that into youth ministry too. So it's kind of one of those jobs that you don't like to mention, but it actually benefited me really well. So I was happy with that job.
I was fond at Fire Fresh. I remember like pulling like the pork and stuff and us listening. We listened to 107.7 back when it was like back when it like
SFR,
it actually played
classic rock.
Before it was the Eagle, when it was SFR classic rock, because now they kind of play some more modern stuff too. And we would listen to that constantly while we were back there prepping the food, and we would even like a song would come on, we'd be like, who's like name that band, and we'd had fun doing that stuff. So I mean,
well, you said they play more modern music. I'm just gonna go ahead and say we've gotten older. So Pearl Jam is classic rock now.
That's true.
If it's 25 years or
Pearl
older,
Jam's no longer modern.
Right. So when you
thanks
listen
for
to
making
it
me
now
feel
and you hear Pearl Jam and Nickelback.
I was
going
to say Nickelback.
They play
it's
Nickelback, and
now.
I'm like, this is not classic rock, but I guess technically it is.
Take a look at that photograph.
You almost made me spit my beer out.
Who likes it? People did though.
Oh man, everybody had a Nickelback phase.
Yes,
I'm telling you, everybody thought, man, this band's great.
I never did. I had the Creed phase.
Yeah, no,
I get it. Creed. Bad. Yeah.
6 feet from the gas, and I'm thinking.
I'm gonna go home and listen to Creed
so
now.
far down.
Oh,
No, I'm telling you, everybody went through one of those phases where it's like you heard that band and you were like, man, these guys are good.
They're going all the way.
Great.
The funnest part was when me and Jake, because Jacob worked at Fire Fresh with me. When we were there, it wasn't classic rock. We got to jam to some Statler Brothers and to Nathan's TV themed CD.
Yeah.
Me and Jacob would listen to that. People were like, "Why are y'all listening?"
See,
It's like we like it.
You had a great experience at your first restaurant.
Not
job.
always, but I'm talking about the good memories.
Well, true, but it's still you had good memories.
Yeah.
I had none at mine. Okay. I worked at the good old Golden Arches.
Yeah,
as
he
my
had
first
that
job.
stereotypical first job.
Stereotypical McDonald's was the number one. I was the fry guy, and that's where I started, and that's where I ended. The
fry
So
guy.
I was there for about a
Never
month.
moved on from French fries.
They tried to put me on burgers one night, and I couldn't handle it. Yeah.
Wow. That's still why you don't cook.
That's why. Yeah.
Can't flip those patties.
I learned then. I was like, I'm not in the kitchen. I don't do it. So I literally, they moved me back to fries, and I stayed on there. And I had a schedule conflict with I was junior year of high school, and they switched some managers out after one manager already approved my schedule.
Yeah.
And then they tried to have me come in on the day where I couldn't.
Yeah.
Because of school. So I told them, I was like, I can't make it. And they're like, well, you better think of getting another job. So
like,
I walked up there with my stuff and I said, here you go, guys. And it's like, it's McDonald's.
I gotta go to school.
It's like, sorry.
It's like,
yeah.
It's like,
well, I mean,
it's like McDonald's is the only place in the world that doesn't want you to go to school, so you can work for them. Like most of the people that do work for them.
It's like,
I
sorry.
mean, no offense if you work for McDonald's.
But
Hopefully you're a manager by now.
I ruined
Exactly
your manager. I ruined my chances of ever being a member of
Instead,
the
you went
Golden
from not being able to flip burgers to making cold sandwiches at Subway. That was more your
I'm
speed.
telling you right now, that
I'm the only one that didn't work in a restaurant. Like I don't.
Well, and Subway's like one of those cool
never worked
restaurants.
at a
It's not really it is, but it isn't.
You're putting sandwiches. If you can't put a sandwich together, then you're not going to make it anywhere.
I
in
had
life.
people come in and ask.
Yeah,
for me.
you've told us that before.
Yeah, that's right.
Like you were given the goods.
I was given the goods.
He was not properly.
You were giving them that foot
I
long.
didn't look. We were told if you're getting black olives, 3 black olives.
Yeah.
Oh,
on a 6-inch.
what?
3 black olives.
I don't even want black
and
olives.
If they
but
ask
that's robbery.
if they ask you for extra, you put 3 more. And I was like, no.
It's like
no.
6 should be the starting number.
Yes.
Come on now.
I've seen them like reach in and grab a handful.
That's
and
what
put
I
'em
did.
on there.
Yeah.
That's what I did.
I mean, that's the
I
proper
served
thing
them
to do.
right. I did
Yeah.
them right by the customer, and that's why they'd ask.
But you
for
had
them.
those Indians breathing
So.
down your neck, though, didn't you?
Well,
Sounded so
Sun-
terrible.
that did sound so
dang
racist.
Indians.
Sorry, but I mean
No,
that's every Subway is like no, don't put 3 on there, put 2. Like every one of them though.
You're getting into the
seriously.
trouble with a poo here.
No, Sunil was a nice guy, but yes, I had to have talks with him. He got on me once
He
for
didn't understand the American way.
He got on me for actually doing a favor and a good job for our first responders. I had a guy come through the line, and I gave him a senior discount.
See,
And he walked away, and Sunil was standing right there by me. I mean, I was ballsy. I did it in front of him.
Mhm.
And he kind of whispered to me, he said, why you give him a senior discount? And I said, because. I said, that's a fireman. We care about our first responders in this country.
Yeah.
I swear I told him that. I swear.
You
And
smart ass.
He literally, all he did is he just looked at me and he goes, okay.
Okay.
And he just walked
That's
in the
right.
back.
I said,
That was
most
it.
he
places
ain't gonna learn if you don't tell him.
I say
mean,
most places
yeah,
have
that's
like
all
a
it was.
military or first responder discount. So
Well, and we just had a senior discount,
I thought
but
they
that
just-
was what I
I
gave
thought
to
they
him.
just spit on police officers now.
Yeah, more well,
I mean, that's what most places do.
not at my place.
That's right.
Not,
not
at
when
Subway.
Brandon's
Not
there.
on your watch.
Not on my watch. All right, guys, I think that's gonna do it for our
I think so,
episode
yeah.
of the Red Moon Podcast this week. As always, thank you for joining us. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you want to tell us what your Oscar picks are, as always, you can email us at the very lovely email address, which is, guys, do y'all remember it?
rmpodcast@redmoonproductions.com.
Could you say it again?
Keith, you say it.
Oh man, what did you say? RM podcast at redmoonproductions.com. Okay, I got
Wow,
it.
that
I
was
got it.
beautiful, guys.
You should have put the camera on me.
While he said it, here, I can do
Lip-read.
it.
Yeah, let's
He was,
try it.
go ahead.
Ready?
I'll do it again.
RM podcast at redmoonproductions.com. Okay, I got it.
Like the Allstate guy.
Yeah.
Allstate.
Khakis. no, that's
No, I'm talking
that's
about
all.
the-
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I totally messed that one up.
Okay.
All right,
You're
guys.
just saying car keys in,
Totally,
in a
we
Boston
messed up the
accent.
end
That's
of this
it.
show.
True.
Yeah.
Give me the car keys.
All right, guys, that's gonna do it. I'm one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, alongside our normal new host,
Sean Sebastian.
and
Keith Cheatham.
so until next time,
We'll
see
see
you
you
at
at
the
the
movies. I think we did it. Whoa, holy crap!
We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. For more reviews, previous podcast shows, and everything Red Moon, visit our website, redmoonproductions.com. You can also like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter by searching for Red Moon Productions, LLC. We'll see you at the movies.